are given by a1x plus b1y plus c1z plus d1 divided by under root of a1 square plus b1 square plus c1 square equal to plus minus a2x plus b2y plus c2z plus d2 divided by under root of a2 square plus b2 square plus c2 square. Now this together gives us two equations of angle bisectors. One is the angle bisector of the acute angle and the other is the angle bisector of the obtuse angle. Once again, if we have got two planes, then there are two angles between these two planes. One is the acute angle and the other is obtuse angle. Now if we say that the equation of planes are a1x plus b1y plus c1z plus d1 equal to 0 and a2x plus b2y plus c2z plus d2 equal to 0, then the equation of the plane bisecting these angles is given by a1x plus b1y plus c1z plus d1 divided by under root of a1 square plus b1 square plus c1 square equal to plus minus of a2x plus b2y plus c2z plus d2 divided by under root of a2 square plus b2 square plus c2 square. We can have a plus sign here and we can also have a minus sign here. So this will give two equations, and these two equations represent the angle bisector between these two planes. Now one would be the acute angle and the other would be the obtuse angle. Now bisector of the angle between the two planes containing the origin. Now if we are required to find out the bisector of the angle between two planes that contain the origin, then what's the procedure? Let us say that the equation of the two planes are a1x plus b1y plus c1z plus d1 equal to 0 and a2x plus b2y plus c2z plus d2 equal to 0. Thus these are the equations of the two planes. Now if we are to find the equation of bisector of angle between these two planes containing the origin, then this is given by the expression a1x plus b1y plus c1z plus d1 divided by under root of a1 square plus b1 square plus c1 square equal to a2x plus b2y plus c2z plus d2 divided by under root of a2 square plus b2 square plus c2 square. Now here we have taken the positive sign. Now we have just seen this represents the equation of one of the angle bisectors, the angle between the two planes. Now this is the equation of the bisector of angle that contains the origin. But important thing to note here is that d1 and d2 are both positive. So if we are to find out the equation of bisector of angle between the two planes containing the origin, this is given by this expression, but the condition here is d1 and d2 must be positive. So in case d1 and d2 are negative, then first try to make d1 and d2 positive and then find out the equation of the bisector by this expression. Now important thing, if d1 and d2 are both positive, then if a1a2 plus b1b2 plus c1c2 is greater than 0, then we can say that the origin lies in the obtuse angle. And if a1a2 plus b1b2 plus c1c2 is less than 0, then the origin lies in the acute angle. Now this is a very important thing to note, that origin lies in the obtuse angle if a1a2 plus b1b2 plus c1c2 is greater than 0, and origin lies in the acute angle if a1a2 plus b1b2 plus c1c2 is less than 0. But d1 and d2 must be both positive. Whenever you are asked to find whether origin lies in the obtuse angle or in the acute angle, first make d1 and d2 both positive and then find out the value of this expression. If this comes out to be positive, then the origin lies in the obtuse angle, and if the value of this expression is less than 0 or is negative, then origin lies in the acute angle. Now let's try to study a line and a plane together. So the first is angle between a line and a plane. Now let us say that this is a plane. Any line is this which intersects the plane in this manner. The normal to the plane is this. Now the angle between a line and a plane is given by this angle. This angle represents the angle between the line and a plane. Let us say that this angle between the line and the normal to this plane is equal to theta. So the angle between the normal and the line is given by theta, and the angle between the line and the plane is given by 90 minus theta. Now in the vector form, if the equation of the line is vector r equal to vector a plus lambda times vector b, and the equation of plane is given by vector r dot vector n equal to d, then the angle between the normal and the line is given by cos theta equal to vector b dot vector n divided by modulus of vector b into modulus of vector n. This is because the direction of this line is along the vector b, because this line is parallel to vector b. Similarly, the normal is given by vector n. Therefore, the angle between the normal and a line is given by cos theta equal to vector b dot vector n divided by the modulus of vector b into the modulus of vector n. Now, the angle between the line and the plane becomes 90 minus theta. So, this angle is the angle between the line and the plane. Let us say that this is equal to t. Therefore, sin t is equal to vector b dot vector n divided by modulus of vector b into modulus of vector n. Thus, the angle between the line and the plane is given by sin t equal to vector b dot vector n divided by modulus of vector b into modulus of vector n. So, t would be equal to sin inverse of this expression, and this way we find out the angle between the line and the plane. So, the best approach is first find the angle between the line and the normal. Let us say that this is theta through this expression, and then subtract this angle from 90 to get the angle between the line and the plane. Now, in the Cartesian form, we can write this as sin t equal to a times l plus b times m plus c times n divided by under root of a square plus b square plus c square into under root of l square plus m square plus n square. Now, your a, b, c, l, m, n have their usual meanings. The intersection of a line and a plane. Let us say that this is the plane and this is the line. Let this line intersect at a point P which lies on the plane. So, if we say that the equation of the line is given by x minus x1 by L equal to y minus y1 by m equal to z minus z1 by n, and the equation of the plane is given by ax plus by plus cz plus t equal to 0. Then the method is to take a general point on the line as x1 plus pl, y1 plus pm and z1 plus pn. Let us say that this is equal to p. So, any general point on this line would be x1 plus pl, y1 plus pm and z1 plus pn. Now, also we know that this point lies on this plane. So, we put the coordinates of this point in this equation of the plane to get the value of p. And when we get the value of p, we simply get the point p. And this is the way we find out the intersection of a line and a plane. Now, once again, if we say that x minus x1 by L is equal to y minus y1 by m equal to z minus z1 by n is the equation of any line, and the equation of plane is ax plus by plus cz plus t equal to 0, and we have to find the intersection of this line and the plane. Then what we do is we take any general point on this line. Let this is equal to p. So, any general point on this line would be x1 plus pl, y1 plus pm and z1 plus pn. Now, this point p also lies on this plane. So, satisfying this point in this equation of plane, we get the value of p, and hence we get the coordinates of the point p. Now, let's try to see how to find the image of a point about a plane. So, till now we have seen how to find the image of a point about a line. Now, let's try to understand how to find the image of a point about a plane. Let us say that this is the equation of plane. Let this be any point P with the coordinates as alpha, beta and gamma. Let us say that the image of this point about this plane is R with the coordinates as x1, y1, z1, and let any point Q be on the plane which is a midpoint of PR. Now, let us say that the equation of plane is ax plus by plus cz plus t equal to 0. Now, the direction ratios of the normal become a, b, c, because a, b, c represents the direction ratios of the normal. Now, let us say that Q is the foot of perpendicular from the point P on the plane. So, from any point P we drop a perpendicular, and Q represents the foot of this perpendicular. Now, first we find out the coordinates of this point Q. Now, how to find this? For finding the coordinates of point Q, we first try to find out the equation of PR or PQ. Now, we know that this line passes through the point alpha, beta, gamma and is parallel to the normal of this plane. So, the equation of this line becomes x minus alpha by A equal to y minus beta by B equal to z minus gamma by C. So, the equation of PR or PQ becomes x minus alpha by A equal to y minus beta by B equal to z minus gamma by C. Let us say that this is equal to k. Now, any general point on this line becomes k times A plus alpha, k times B plus beta and k times C plus gamma. Now, this is the coordinates of, let us say, point Q. Now, Q also lies on this plane. So, satisfying these coordinates in the equation of plane, we get a times ka plus alpha plus b times kb plus beta plus c times kc plus gamma plus d equal to 0. So from this equation we get the value of k, and once we get the value of k, we get the coordinates of the point Q. Now after finding the coordinates of point Q, we use the midpoint formula to find the coordinates of the point R. So the whole procedure is, first we try to find out the coordinates of the point Q. Q is the foot of the perpendicular dropped on the plane from the point P, and then using the midpoint formula we find the coordinates of the point R. But to find the coordinates of point Q, what we do is we write the equation of this line and take any general point on this line. Now this general point should satisfy the equation of the plane because this point lies on this plane, and from that we find out the value of the coordinates of point Q, and then we use the midpoint formula to find out the coordinates of the point R, which is the image of the point P about this plane. Now a very important three-dimensional figure is a sphere. A ball represents a sphere. Now let's look at the definition of a sphere. It is the locus of a point that moves in a space in such a way that its distance from the fixed point is constant. This fixed point is called as the center of sphere, and the fixed distance is called as its radius. Let us say that this is a sphere. Now from the definition, it is the locus of a point that moves in a space such that its distance from a fixed point C is constant. So P is any point on the sphere. Now this distance is equal to the radius of the sphere. If we take any point here, then again this distance would be equal to r. If we take any point here, then this distance would be equal to r, and so on. Thus the locus of a point that moves in a space in such a way that its distance from the fixed point is constant is called as a sphere. This constant distance is called as the radius of the sphere, and the fixed point is called as the center of the sphere. A similar sort of definition holds in the 2D, and that is for a circle. Now let's try to find out the equation of a sphere with the center and the radius given. Let us say that this is a sphere. Let the center of the sphere is C with the coordinates as L, M, N. Let's say the radius of the sphere is A. Now if we take any point P, X, Y, Z on the sphere, then from the definition of sphere, the distance of this point from the center should be equal to the radius. Thus x minus L whole square plus y minus m whole square plus z minus n whole square should be equal to the square of the radius, which is equal to a square, and this is the required equation of the sphere. So if the center of the sphere and the radius of the sphere is given, then the equation of the sphere becomes x minus L whole square plus y minus m whole square plus z minus n whole square equal to a square. Your L, M and N are the coordinates of the point C, which is the center, and A represents the radius of the sphere. Now if we say that